Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. Let's talk about some
Yeah.
This is Geek Therapy Radio.
What are we waiting for?
And now your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. I am your mental curator extraordinaire, Johnny Hamburger. Make sure you're subscribed to the Geek Therapy Radio podcast. Make sure you tune in to Geek Therapy Radio 10 p.m. Saturday nights right here on KPRC 950 AM. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, just Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. It's also Geek Therapy Radio across all social media. So let's just drop this deuce. Today we're going to be talking about poop. Yes, poop. Not in I'm going to try to keep a straight face about this. I'll try to keep the puns to a minimum. No promises. But in this first segment, I want to talk about why it is that that coffee seems to make us poop. So let's get into the scientifics of it, because it's actually pretty fascinating. So, a study found that 29% of participants had to poop within the first 20 minutes after drinking coffee. I'll keep my own personal experiences until the end with all this, but about 30% of participants had to poop within the first 20 minutes of drinking coffee. So why is this? Why does coffee stimulate us to poop? Is it sorcery? What is this? No, it's not sorcery. It's science. Caffeine. Caffeine is a natural stimulant, and the average cup of coffee contains about 95 milligrams of caffeine. So, caffeine causes contractions in your large colon and intestinal muscles. That means that when you drink coffee, you get the caffeine, it is actually doing stuff. For most people, it's doing stuff to your colon. That's not just in your head. It's not a placebo. Your colon is actually getting more active after you drink a cup of coffee or during drinking a cup of coffee because of the caffeine. These contractions are what push whatever's on deck towards the rectum, which stimulates the urge to poop. I can't believe I get to do radio about this stuff. So the contractions in your gut makes you want to give birth to a burrito baby. Caffeine makes your colon 60% more active than water alone and 23% more active than decaf coffee. And that's interesting because although to a lesser extent, the fact that decaf coffee can stimulate the urge to poop means that there may be other chemicals at play other than the caffeine. I'm going to try to pronounce all these things. Chlorogenic acids and N-alkanoyl 5-hydroxytryptamides both stimulate the production of stomach acid, which then digests food and, of course, sends it to the rest of your gut, signaling, to your bowels that you need to keep things rolling along. So remember that drug Hydroxycut? I can't help but think that there's N-alkanoyl 5-hydroxytryptamide in that product. All these weight loss products that proclaim you'll lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds in 1 week. Yeah, you're dumping it out and you're peeing it out. That's what's happening. You're not actually burning fat. You're just getting what's in you out of you. So anyways, the act of drinking itself, not just coffee, but the act of drinking itself makes the bowel more active through the gastrocolic reflex. This is completely normal. Doing anything, ingesting water, eating a donut, anything triggers that gastrocolic reflex, which in turn triggers your bowel to move things along. So pooping after coffee could be a coincidence since your bowel is twice as active when you wake up anyways. Circadian rhythm regulates many biological processes, bowel movements included. Now hold on a second. Maybe for some people, they confuse drinking coffee with just the fact that when you wake up, your bowel is twice as active. I don't buy that because, yes, when I wake up, I may or may not personally, have to do that. But after I drink coffee, it is on like Donkey Kong. More on that in a minute. Coffee also stimulates hormone production, especially gastrin. Coffee produces about 2 times as much gastrin as water. Another hormone, this is going to be hard to pronounce, cholecystokinin, let's move on, is also produced, and this stimulates the gastrocolic reflex, which makes the bowel more active. 2/3 of Americans add dairy or sweeteners, other substances, to their otherwise black coffee. Since 65% of human beings, not just Americans, but 65% of human beings can't properly digest lactose anyways, this also throws gas on the fire for what amounts to most people. That means for most people, if you're listening right now, there's a more than 1 in 2 chance that you can't process lactose properly, so putting coffee and caffeine on top of that is throwing gas on the fire, so to speak. Also, women are more affected than men. While a study showed that 29% of all participants had to poop within the first 20 minutes, 53% of all the women in the study were affected. That means 53% of all the women in the study had to poop within 20 minutes of drinking coffee. Since women are more prone to digestive conditions like IBS, this is not illogical. Some people are not affected by coffee one way or the other when it comes to pooping. So I don't know if that makes you lucky or unlucky. I have no idea. But some people can drink coffee and it doesn't stimulate their bowel any more than anything else. Coffee is a diuretic, which can actually cause constipation. Coffee can actually be what's making you not able to poop, which is also fascinating to think about. But if you get enough water and you're otherwise healthy, a cup of joe can help things get moving if you are temporarily constipated. Isn't that fascinating? You know more about why coffee makes you poop now than you might know about the moon. You might know more about why coffee makes you poop after listening to this segment than you know the names of of your coworkers. I'm happy to provide that service for you. All I know for me to close out the segment is, personally, when I open the bag of coffee, before I even grind the beans, the urge hits. So when I put the coffee grounds into the French press and get it steepened, that's when I take the opportunity to taking care of business. It's very efficient like that. Stay tuned. More Geek Therapy Radio to come. We're going to talk about what your poop can tell you. I'll be the poop whisperer. Don't go anywhere. I'm ridiculous. Welcome back to, for lack of better words, the poop episode of Geek Therapy Radio. I am your dutiful host, Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator in the Museum of the Mind. And I know this episode sounds a little bit base. That it on the surface, it seems to float on the surface that it's kind of a lowbrow episode, but I can't avoid the puns. It's too hard. But I'm trying to be scientific about this, and actually the information in here can help you. So in the first segment, we talked about how coffee makes you poop, why it makes you poop, the actual scientific mechanisms behind coffee, and how it triggers your bowel to poop. A lot of us, our first sip of our cup of joe each morning, we have to go to the potty. So I was explaining why that is, scientifically why that happens. So in this segment, we're going to talk about, I said I was going to be the poop whisperer, and we're going to talk about what your poop can actually tell you. Not like in a Mr. Hanky South Park way where it jumps out of the toilet and starts whispering secrets or who you should vote for or anything like that. Giant douche or turd sandwich. But it can tell you things related to your health. It can actually help with help diagnose life-threatening diseases that may impact your life, your poop can actually tell you a lot. So like I said, I know this is kind of on the surface, it seems like a lowbrow type of show here, at least for this week. But it can actually help. So speaking of butts, let's continue on with what your poop can tell you. So changes in color, shape, and texture can actually indicate a wide variety of health issues, including life-threatening issues such as cancer. I know a lot of us, when we take a poop, just don't even want to look at it. Of course, that's natural. Who wants to look at dumps? But we close the lid, we flush it. Once in a while, especially if you're feeling kind of odd in general, you should take a look at your turds, come face to face with your turd, and put your ear next to it and see what it's telling you. Fecal matter is about 75% water. Don't actually put your face anywhere near the toilet. Fecal matter is about 75% water and 25% solid matter. The solid matter is usually made up of dead bacteria, indigested food, and inorganic material. It's kind of like when your dog poops out water balloon rubber. It's kind of like that, except I hope no humans are ingesting that kind of actual trash. Okay, so it takes about 3 days for food to pass through your body. Anything slower or anything faster can affect the size of the poop, its color, or texture. There's actually a medical chart of poop based on size and texture to help diagnose your doo-doo health. It's called, and I'm not joking about this, it's called the Bristol Stool Chart. So let's go over that chart, shall we? After going over these types of poops, we'll discuss what they tell us, what they're whispering to us. So type 1 is separate hard lumps. I call it rabbit poop or deer turds. Type 2 is like a big lumpy cigar. Type 3 is like type 2, but without the lumps. So it's like cigar-shaped without the lumps. However, it's smooth, but has cracks on the surface. Type 4 is a long... it's just what I've typed. Okay, type 4 is a long, soft, smooth snake of make. Why did I write that? Type 5, soft blobs with clear edges. How am I going to get through this show? So type 5 is our soft blobs with clear edges. Type 6 is mushy stool with fluffy pieces and ragged edges. Type 7 is hot brown rain. It's entirely liquid. Science! Let's do this for science, Johnny. Keep it together. What do these poops tell us? Type 1 and 2, the separate hard lumps or hard lumpy sausage, why? Can indicate constipation. Constipation can be caused by many things, including diet, illness, stress, or changes in medication. Type 3 and 4, the big soft cigar with a cracked surface and the long, skinny, smooth snakes indicate optimal healthy digestion. So you're all good there if you have types 3 and 4. Your colon, what the heck did I write here? Your colon is cozy in Browntown. Why? Please don't change the station. I promise this is for science and your health. Type 5 through 7. So soft chunks to what the hell did I write? Soft chunks to a complete lake of make are signs of diarrhea. Come on! These types mean food is passing too quickly through the system. This can also be caused by changes in diet, medication, stress. What the heck has happened to my chair? Or in the case of my wedding day, what? In the case of my wedding day, infection from eating lettuce in a third world Central American country a few days prior. Sorry to my beautiful lovely bride, Sarah. I got through the ceremony and most of the reception. Okay, so those are the types of texture. But I'd add that if your bathroom starts to smell like an unmucked horse stable, or your roommate calls the zoo because he smells an escaped gorilla, you might want to call a doctor. All right, so what about color? Not all poop is brown. It should be brown. That's what it's meant to be. But if it's a different color, it may be worth concern. If it's black or reddish, this could indicate gastrointestinal bleeding. So if it's black or reddish, that means you're bleeding internally. You should get checked out. Absolutely. Grayish make could indicate liver problems. Why? Grayish make could indicate liver problems. Why pass, Johnny? Why did you write it? Yellow, greasy, foul-smelling poop indicates that your intestines didn't properly digest food and absorb fat. This could be a disease of your intestinal lining, such as celiac disease, or chronic pancreatitis. So, again, yellow, greasy, foul-smelling poop could indicate that your intestines aren't properly digesting food or absorbing fat, and that could indicate a disease in your intestinal lining, called celiac disease or chronic pancreatitis. So if your poop is yelly, if your poop yells at you, you should see a psychiatrist. Stat. But if your poop is yellow, greasy, or foul smelling, also go to the doctor. That's not normal. You should get it checked out. So now that we've looked into the brown crystal ball, what can we do to help ensure our doo-doo health? Because what good would all this discussion be if I wasn't going to offer up tidbits of how you can keep the train running, so to speak? A balanced diet. See, all these things are going to be kind of things that are no duh, but I'm going to repeat them anyways. Balanced diet, high in fiber. Fiber keeps things moving and prevents constipation. So foods with high fiber are things like apples, carrots, the magical fruit, beans, and anything with whole wheat. Keep fiber in your diet, you'll keep things moving, and you'll be healthier as far as it comes to your bowels and your digestive tract. That's just, if your digestion isn't healthy, you're not healthy. You need nutrients to absorb, or you need nutrients to be able to be absorbed. So speaking of that, exercising forces your body to digest food. After all, that's the energy. That's your muscles needing nutrients. After all, so this helps with constipation by keeping things moving along the commode road. Dear Lord. That makes sense. When your body is working, you need the fuel, and your digestive system will naturally stay healthy if you exercise so that your body and your muscles can feed on the fuel that you're giving it. What I write here, commode road, I'm not just talking about jogging, because apparently runners can get runner's sadness, if you know what I'm talking about, which reminds me of an old CKY DVD, which I will not repeat anything further. Also, drinking water. Drink water. Water helps clear out the body of toxins and is required to make poop, because remember, poop is 75% water. Also, getting a colonoscopy can help. Let's talk about some poop facts coming back. I'm sorry, dude. Stay with me. All right, I guess we'll continue this fascinating, poopy conversation. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I am your mental curator, or your poopy curator this week. Let's get into some interesting and fun facts about poop. You might learn something on the way. As a matter of fact, I would guarantee you would learn something along the way. So let's talk more about number 2. And let's just get possibly the grossest fact out of the way here. Just right out the gate, you can eat your own poop. It's your own bacteria and may actually have some nutritional value if something didn't fully digest. It's only unhealthy if you're sick. Also, let me put a massive caveat here. Don't eat anybody. Well, first of all, I would recommend you don't eat poop, period. Just because it's safe to eat your own poop doesn't mean that you should go around eating your own poop. You'll get some weird looks. Other people's poop can be dangerous. You know, we have things like E. coli and cholera and all sorts of things that diseases that are spread through feces. But in a survival situation, you can eat your own poop, or maybe you have a kid or a child and they accidentally eat their own poop or something like that. It's nothing really it's not really much to worry about if it's their own poop, but just know that you can, just like you can drink your own urine. It's sterile. If it's fresh, it's all you. That came out of you. It is all you. So it is scientifically not that harmful to eat, although I don't recommend it, and stay away from other people's poop, just period. I'm not just eating poop, but just coming in contact with it. You don't want to. But that's enough of that. You can see corn in your poop because the whole of the corn kernel is made of indigestible cellulose. I know we all know that. Most of us know that the reason why we see corn in our poop is just because the shell of the corn is indigestible cellulose. Cellulose is in a lot of different vegetables, actually. You just notice corn better in your poop because it's yellow. It's a contrast against the brown of the poop. Green plants that you eat, like kale, the stalks of broccoli, things like that, all sorts of vegetables have cellulose in it. But the green plants, they wither and they kind of darken with digestion as they basically rot in your gut, so that by the time that cellulose gets to your poop, it blends in with the poop. It looks brown or dark or whatever, but it's just the yellow cellulose of corn that sticks out. It's not just corn that we have a hard time digesting. There's a lot of stuff we have a hard time digesting. The first few poops after a baby is born is a green tar-like substance because the fetus was fed by the umbilical cord only. This is called meconium or mesonium. I don't know how to pronounce that. Meconium, I believe it is. So if you're a new parent, don't be alarmed by your baby pooping out green tar. It's just that they haven't eaten food yet. They haven't even had breast milk yet. So the first few poops by a newborn is kind of weird. Fecal transplants have an extremely high success rate, around 90%. That's better than any other antibiotic. A healthy donor poop has the right bacterial qualities to right the ship with a P, right the ship in the recipient's gut. So let's say you're sick, a patient has an imbalance in the bacteria in their colon, and it's causing them all sorts of problems. They take some donor poop from a healthy person, just a little bit, and they put it in the colon of the recipient, and that has a 90% success rate to get the bacteria back in balance in the recipient's bowel. It's a really neat thing. Studies are still being conducted with this, however, also. Neil Armstrong left 4 bags of poop on the moon. So there is human poop on the moon. We have to mark our territory wherever we go, I guess. Some shooting stars are the evacuated astronaut poop from the space station. So next time you wish upon a star, that could be just a turd missile from space. Apparently, and this is kind of unverified. I found this in an archive on Reddit. By the way, my Google search history is ruined now. Apparently, the longest human poop ever achieved was, take this with a grain of salt, 26 feet long in an experiment conducted by the University of Michigan. Don't Google search that. Basically, the dude crab walked down the lane of a bowling alley, and apparently there was all sorts of laxatives involved, a butt plug. Don't. He corked it and took whatever. I'm not, it didn't look like a very scientific experiment. It looked like dudes being stupid. Apparently a guy took a 6-pound dump. A different person says he took a 6-pound dump and set his back popped during the poop. I would think if you took a 6-pound dump, yeah, you probably blow some O-rings. Another guy claims over 20 pounds. But you'll notice that in all these stories of humans claiming the biggest poop or the most poop or the longest poop, it's all dudes. It's all guys. Not a single female is making these claims, and I wonder why that is. Here's some actual facts. These are facts. These are verified. This is just scientific data now. Elephants poop, up to 300 pounds a day. A cow poops 15 times a day and drops 12 tons of dook each year. That's a lot of poop. Let's fast forward through this a little bit. Camel poop is extremely dry because they conserve, precious water. But the interesting thing about camel poop is that it can be burned as is. You drop out of a camel and you can burn it. Sorry, I'm running the station at the same time. It gives off very little smoke and burns for a long time, so natives use it to cook with. Goat droppings don't attract flies. Crocodile poop is spermicidal, and ancient Egyptian women used it as contraception. Gross. Zebra poop contains Clostridium, which turns any cellulose material into butanol fuel. So I guess you can fill your Zippo with zebra poop and corn husks. I don't know. It creates fuel. If rabbits can't find food, they'll eat their own poop. It's very nutritious. Wolverines save their meals by pooping on it. That means they can't eat anymore, so they take a dump on whatever they're eating to save it from other animals eating it. Parrotfish poop is pure sand and makes up the bulk of many beautiful tropical beaches. So a lot of the sand that you get on your beach bum is actually parrotfish poop. Here's something fascinating. There are metals like gold in human poop, and it's estimated that 1 million humans produce $13 million worth of metals in their poop. I said metals, not gold in their poop, but there's precious metals in your poop, and if you refine the poop down, it's estimated that 1 million humans produce up to $13 million worth of metals in their poop. That's fascinating. Another thing that you might already know is that human poop, if you watch The Martian, human poop is a good shield from cosmic radiation. And I'll finish out the segment with some interesting human facts about poop. The average American poops over 350 pounds per year, or well over 25,000 pounds in a lifetime. So almost 3 monster trucks, a fighter jet. No, this is all separate. So in a lifetime, the average person passes 3 monster trucks, or a fighter jet, or a subway car, or 4 or 5 average cars, or my favorite, because I picture myself a giant in doing this anyways, if I was 100 feet tall, 25 telephone poles. Oddly enough, on aircraft carriers, each link of the anchor's chain weighs about the same as what a human passes per year. So each year, you're crapping out a link in an aircraft carrier's anchor chain. So for me personally, give or take with a little math, where am I at in time? Yeah, give or take with a little math, I'm 35 years old. So by now, I've passed about a school bus through my body. A school but's worth of poop, or about 14,000 pounds. And to wrap up the segment, my great-grandmother passed away when she was 101, which means she passed an aircraft carrier's anchor at 30,000 pounds and a Cadillac. Go Grammy! We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. What a crappy show. All right, welcome back to this very poopy edition of Geek Therapy Radio, and let's wrap up the show this week with by discussing what human poop can be useful for. We've talked about what your poop can tell you about your health. We talked about some interesting facts about poop in general. We've talked about all sorts of stuff dealing with poops, but let's talk now about what human poop can be specifically useful for. And I will just leave it up to you, the listener, as to how much of this you will actually Should I say don't try this at home? Because some of it you can try at home. Some of it has been done at home for centuries. There's people doing some of this right now, actually. One of the first uses for human poop is biogas. It's no mystery that methane is emitted by flatulence, and methane comes off of turds. And you can actually collect this biogas and use it to fuel your heating. You can use it for cooking. You can use it for all sorts of things. It doesn't pollute the environment. It reduces deforestation. Yes, I'm reading a lot of this from some hippy-dippy website, but it reduces forestation because, you're not using wood to fuel a wood-burning stove, so to speak, so you can use the methane from your turds. If you just collect it and collect the methane, you can use that for fuel or heating purposes, energy creation, all sorts of things. Number 2 is it's obvious, fertilizer. You can use human poop as fertilizer, but apparently, what is it? You have to treat, and don't ask me how to do this, but you treat the poop in a certain way, and you create a sludge with it, and it reduces the number of pathogens, and it makes it less biologically active, which means that it stinks less. If you remember The Martian, Matt Damon in The Martian, and he used his own crap to fertilize the crop on Mars. That is a science fiction movie, but it's not that much science fiction. So you can use your own feces for fertilizer. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, in the first or second segment, you can use feces for, doctors use human feces for fecal transplants. If a recipient's gut is all out of balance, you have a bacterial imbalance in your bowels, you can take some donor feces from a healthy person and put a little bit of it in the recipient's bowels, and it will help clear up the bacterial infection, help rewrite the balance of bacteria in the bowel, and therefore improve the health of the patient. Hydrogen fuel. Hydrogen can be collected from human waste through the same process. I'm going to read this directly from this article here. What is this website? conserveenergyfuture.com. So I'm just going to read this article right here. It's just a couple paragraphs. Hydrogen fuel can be deduced from human waste through the same process as the one of passing current through water. Electrolysis. It proves to be more efficient with less energy required in the process. Water is distilled from human waste solids. Okay. I see. Basically, if you squeeze your poop like a sponge to get the water out of it, because remember, poop is 75% water, you then apply electrolysis to it. You can use solar panels for the process of electrolysis, I suppose. And then you separate the water in the poop into combustible hydrogen and combustible oxygen. So that's pretty neat. Number 5 is brick making. You can make brick out of human turds. It's not just human you don't use just feces in it. One way that humans are already doing this is they take incinerated sewage sludge, ash, and it's combined with vegetable oil. So basically you completely dehydrate and burn your poops, and you mix it with vegetable oil, and you can make bricks out of it for construction. That's kind of neat. That's gross, but it's neat. Would you live in I can't cuss on the radio. Would you live in a brick house, but replace the word brick with you know what I'm saying? Would you live in a house made of turds? Perhaps your own turds. How long would it take? I'm sure we could do some math here to figure out how long it would take to build a house out of your own turds. I'll leave that for the scientists for now because I don't have a whole lot of time left in the show. This seems kind of redundant. Number 6, you can use your poops for fuel. It makes sense because we talked about camels, you being able to use camel poop right out of the butt as fuel. So for humans who have much higher water content than camels, because camels need to store as much water as possible given the climate that they're accustomed to. So yeah, you can, if once you dry out, let's say you squeeze the turd like a sponge to get all the water out of it for electrolysis to create the hydrogen and oxygen. You're left over with this biomass that you can dry out and burn and use for fuel, kind of like charcoal. So the next barbecue, don't tell your friends what the barbecue bricks are made out of. What a ridiculous show I'm doing this week. I already told you that poop is a good source of metals. I'm not at all suggesting that you sift through don't go panning for gold in your own turds. It's not quite like that. There's quite a process to extracting metals out of your poop. So, that's kind of, again, don't be gross. Don't take your colander. Don't poop into the colander and have at it. What is this? The Janicki Omni processor? Solid fuel combustion, steam power generation, water treatment, and the recycling of human waste to produce energy and clean drinking water. What? Therefore, the process can be used to sustain millions in a world who lack access to clean water. Process begins with human waste being fed into a dryer to remove moisture, thereby reducing it to dry fly ash. Heat generated in this process is used to heat water in boiler pipes to form steam, which runs a generator to produce electricity. The electricity is enough to power the whole processor, and surplus can be sold. Steam that leaves the dryer goes through a series of filters for condensation distillation to produce clean water. The Omni processor doesn't let out foul smell and meets current emission standards. So, making clean drinking water out of turds. Fascinating. Would you drink, I was going to ask this, would you drink water that was collected from human turds? Basically, I keep going back to the sponge thing, just sponging out the water from a turd, essentially making the steam. I understand the distilling process, even though the water is completely clean, probably cleaner than what comes out of the tap. Would you drink the water knowing that it originated in poop? If you watch The Martian, you also know that poop is a really good cosmic radiation shield. The Martian is such a cool movie. I need to go back and watch it. Okay, number 10, source of water. Why does it keep repeating this stuff? Source of water. Poop is a source of water. 75% water in human turds, and the other 25% can be used for all sorts of stuff. I myself will not be conducting so many experiments. I for darn sure am not going to be drinking water that has originated as human stool. It's really weird. It's weird what we eat and drink. A lobster is essentially an ocean cockroach, but it's this. We have this hang-up, this stigma, this mental stigma. Why would we eat a lobster? Why do I personally desire lobster so much? But the idea of eating a cockroach is disgusting to me. In other cultures, eating bugs and cockroaches is perfectly acceptable, and those people probably don't like lobster. There's probably people on this earth, healthy people, who prefer cockroaches, but are disgusted by the idea of eating lobster. That's weird. Okay, we're all geeks about something. Embrace your inner geek. Don't tell me about your turdscapades. That's a slippery slope. My Google search is really messed up. Thank you for listening to Geek Therapy Radio this week. This is a really weird episode. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. And I will find you on the next episode of Geek Therapy Radio. Take care.